Thank you for joining us for another edition of Legacy Building with AV. My name is Holly. My co-host is Dr. Gavin Adams. And before we even begin, if y'all could just please subscribe, like, share with a friend, it will definitely help the page grow and help us to get more interviewees to come and join us. But today we have a special guest. We have Natay Hayes, who's a real estate investor. She's also a teacher. She has her own course that you guys could definitely look up. She left her 9 to 5, y'all, and has been traveling the world. And this has all pretty much been supported with her real estate journey and stuff like that. So, with that being said, Natay, how are you today?
Doing amazing. It's a fantastic Friday, right? Any day above ground is a good day.
It is a
Thank
good day for
you.
sure.
Thanks for
um,
having me.
Thanks for being here. Like, we so appreciate you taking the time. I know, especially since you've been traveling, you're at a project right now, which is crazy. So, yeah, tell us about your project. What are you currently working on?
Oh goodness. Okay, you want me to start with my project? So I just bought a 10-unit building, actually out in Detroit. Yeah. So came home. I was away for the month. Came home for like 2, 3 days. I'm like, I just need to relax and rest. And then I came right out to my project because being away while working on a project is I just don't recommend it, and not for like such a big building that I have. Yeah, every day I'm checking the cameras. My guys are videoing me, FaceTiming me, and I'm like, oh, everything looks amazing. Then I get to my building. I'm like, why is this off? Why the paint rolling? Why this not happening? This is a lot of things that you can't see really with the naked eye, and everything looks good.
Yeah.
But those are little things, right? I can handle the little things. It's okay. I had 2 crews on a project that I've really grown to trust. We're still
Yeah.
working together. I had just had closed on a building in April. So I was out here the month of May, the month of June to early July. I had to go to Africa. So it wasn't ideal, but I was like, I was debating, like, do I go away and stop my project? Like, I was that close, but time
Yeah.
is money. So I
Um,
kind of had to push
the
through. I'm
pro
like, no, huh?
I said the progress doesn't stop.
Exactly. So
It
it was
shouldn't.
a risk either way. If I stopped my project, right, and I couldn't be there, that's a risk, right? Because now I'm losing a lot of time and losing money. And then the second risk is, okay, well, what if I'm 100,000 miles away? Now I got these projects going on, or these 2 crews working on the project, and I can't see them. What if they screw up my project while I'm going, and I still
Ah,
gotta come
that's
back, right? So
nerve-wracking.
I'm thinking of every worst case scenario that could happen while I'm away. Just thankfully, I've trusted my crews and they've done right by me. So it is 10 units, 10 single family, 10 one-bedroom units. I'm doing $150,000 rehab. So not really down to the studs for the most part. Everything was intact. The building is quite solid. Just a lot of big cosmetic upgrades for sure. The building
So
has not had
Nice.
any love in a long time.
so that's where you are today. Bring us through
That's
your
what I'm at.
journey of how you got there. Who are you as a person, and where do
Yeah.
you feel your journey began?
Yeah, sure. That's always quite an easy answer for me because and it's always funny because I kind of share the same story all the time. So if for the new people listening, yeah, I feel like I share it because it resonates with people so much. And I think a lot of people happen to be in the shoes that I used to be in. And that was just like getting up and just chasing the 9 to 5 life, and just like it was maybe 2 hours after my first employment after I graduated school, where I'm like 2 hours in, right? I'm like, I need to retire right now. I can't wait till
Like, I'm done.
I'm just already like, if this is what I gotta sign, if this is what I'm signing up for until I'm 65, get me the hell out of here as quickly as possible.
So what was your major in undergrad?
So human resources by background. So I did labor
Okay.
studies and psych, and I was one of the probably the lucky ones, quote unquote, that actually got a job in my field. So I was doing, what I liked for the most part. It was just the whole waking up, being there, having to get there, the lunch breaks. I'm like, why do I only have a half hour to an hour lunch break? The vacation, like 2 weeks vacation, get me out of here like ASAP.
Yeah.
I needed to take 1 month vacation. So, my story is just really, I needed to find a way to make money when I slept, right? And I tell people all the time, like, we have what's called residual debt. That's debt that comes every 30 days. So T-Mobile doesn't care if I get out of my bed or not. T-Mobile wants their money, right? My car company, they don't care if I get out of my bed or not. They want their money. So the only way we could offset residual debt, that comes every 30 days, is with residual income that comes every 30 days, whether I get out of my bed or not, right? It's just a basic mathematical concept. So I'm like,
Yeah.
get up and go to work every day for money, or I can put things in place that bring me money, right? And so real estate just sort of found me. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which most people, probably have certainly read. And in the book, it talks a lot about, exactly what I'm speaking of, making your money work for you so you don't have to work so hard for your money. And so my first goal was always to eliminate the biggest expense that most people pay on a monthly basis, right? Which is rent or mortgage. Probably without a doubt, that for everybody that I'm speaking of, if you're paying those things, and the next biggest things is probably a car note or student loan, right? And so once I was able to eliminate that, now I have money at the end of the month. Now I had discretionary income coming in that allowed me to have a little bit of breathing room, right, with my job, where I'm not worried about getting fired, because I was getting fired all the time, right? They didn't want me there. I didn't want to be there. So it was a mutual, it was a mutual feeling. It was a mutual relationship. So I just purchased a 3-family home that now we call house hacking, right? So I live for free. I've been living for free for the last 14 years. And not only do I live for free, I make $700 a month to live there. So when most people are getting up to go to a job that they got to pay to live, I could be on the beach because I'm not paying to live. People are paying me to live. And really, I just started to duplicate that. It went from $700 a month to now I'm saving $2,000 a month to $10,000 a month, right? So just short, slow steps, overtime, rinse, wash, repeat. Really is what I did by buying high cash flowing multi-family buildings. So 2 units, 3 units, and 4 units. I didn't buy any single families.
Miss Hayes, you'll skip it. I think because you went through the journey, it happened so fast for you in hindsight. But I'm pretty sure it didn't take place that way. So, what was the progress? How did you go from the first purchase? Walk us through that. Were there any obstacles you experienced? Did you have a mentor or anything? How did you prepare yourself? How did you educate yourself to take
Sure.
such a big jump, right? But just because owning a home or investment property is a big jump when it's your first. And then how did you build the confidence to get to where you are today?
So here's what I'll say about that. My first property is a new construction property. So it was like 5 years young by the time when I purchased it. So granted, right, there's people that can build crappy new construction homes, right? So this was not one of those situations. The new construction the most I've probably put into this property in a year has been almost $10,000. So that's a big deal. We're not talking about buying something where I'm dumping a lot of money into it, right? Something that's giving me a lot of headaches. I'm living there, so the tenants, I haven't had no evictions on that property since I've owned it. One, because it's in a nice neighborhood. Two, because it's an upgraded property. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, 1,600 square feet. So all of these things sort of come into play, right? The tenants that have stayed there, they love it. Very little turnover. So I really haven't had a ton of issues with that building, to be honest. So I always tell people, like, the first property that you're going to buy would make or break you. If I would have gotten into this and gotten in over my head, I'm losing money, the tenants aren't paying, I don't know if I'd be here today. I might not. Who knows? I don't know what would happen. But because I had a relatively decent experience because of how I purchased, right? That was the biggest factor for me to kind of continue going for more, right? I'm not squeezed for money, right? I was saving $2,000 a month, making $40,000 a year with that job. So in a couple of months, I'm up almost $6,000. A lot of people, it's hard for us to save $6,000, in a whole year. And I'm doing that in a couple of months. So these are some of the things that helped me catapult to the next property. It was just saving my funds. Even before purchasing this, right? I want to make sure I'm answering your questions. I had to save. There was some downsizing that I had to do. It's not always easy. I was renting an apartment for $1,200, and I decided I found a room off of Craigslist. I was in like my early 20s. Y'all don't judge me. But my late 20s. I found an apartment off of Craigslist for $480 a month. So I went from paying $1,200 to $480, and that was the first start of saving, right? So for a lot of us, and I know all the audience that I end up speaking to that always are listening to what I have to say, they're always in that same positions, like, how do I start to save? How do I get out of the situation that I'm in? And so it's short-term sacrifice for long-term rewards. If I had to do that all over again, I'd be living wherever I needed to live to save up to do what I needed to do. I'll also say that I purchased it with an FHA loan, right? So many of us talk about the first-time home buying loan, 3.5% down. So that's important to note, right? My first property was $220,000, 3.5% down. I was probably almost all in for no less than 20,000. And I know that seems like a big number, and it's probably even bigger now because 3 families aren't really going for 220, right? But I'm saving over the course of the years. I'm saving. I was 28 when I bought my first property. So, just the downsizing, right, on an apartment was a huge thing. Then I was probably working like 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet so I could just save more money. It probably took me, I don't really recall how long it took me. I've always been kind of good with my money. Over a couple of years, tax return, saving, stashing, I had $20,000, and it's bought me. It has its returns for sure. That house is now worth almost $1 million, right? So when you see,
continue.
I said that's nice. Continue.
I hope that was detailed enough for you, Gavin.
It definitely was. I do have some follow-up questions.
Sure.
So where are you from originally, and what market are you in?
Sure. I was born and raised in the Bronx, so boogie down. And I live right in Jersey. I'm right next door now. So I went to undergrad at Rutgers, and I just kind of stayed out in Jersey and made it home. And then I was purchasing in Jersey. I bought my first unit in 2011. So from 2011 up till now. Now the market is just so different, right? Like I said, I bought my house at 220. Now it's worth $1 million. You can't invest in places like, you can, but for cash flow purposes, an investor like myself, I'm not getting those deals anymore. So I'm finding those type of deals in the Midwest. And I've always sort of wanted to invest and expand in the Midwest. I always wanted some apartment complexes that were relatively around the same price that I was getting them for in New Jersey. And so I just kind of took a gamble and said, let me just try Detroit, see how I like it.
So I'm originally from New York. And
okay.
When you say 220, it had to be purchased a while ago because there's nothing in the tri-state area. With maybe Connecticut, but New York and New Jersey, you're definitely not finding anything under 300,000 within the last several years, right? So
Exactly.
Good for you for getting into the market at that time and being able to survive the ups and downs. What are the strategies, the financial strategies that you employ? Because I know it's expensive. So when you went from only being able to save the 2,000 to 4,000 to 10, there had to be maybe some things that you continued doing, or some things that you said, you know what, I'm not going to do that right now, even though I can afford it. So what were some of the practices and habits?
Give me 1 second. I gotta let my contractor out.
Oh, good. We can edit. We can edit.
Okay, I did not plan on any of this happening. Okay, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be free, and then I don't know.
That's cool. Now that's cool. This is real. Like the whole point of this podcast was to interview real people that are actually in the field doing it, and not just people talking about it. And that's one of the things we've noticed just by talking, like who's actually doing it and who's just.
Yeah, no, that's a big deal. I love it. I love it.
That's a point. You have a great point, Holly, because when we first met one another and we started talking about real estate, the pandemic took place, and then you've seen so many overnight moguls, quote unquote real estate professionals, even though the IRS won't deem them to be such. But you have so many people who were on Instagram or whatever other social media outlet. They're no longer around, nowhere to be found. And then you have people who had all these properties, but now they're selling courses to survive. So we know they're not
Okay.
really doing this. So I felt that when you said it, because we're actually living it. And I love the fact that we can talk to people who are also living it, because clearly
Okay.
we're consistent enough to show that we do this for real.
For real. Yep, that's a fact.
That's
Okay. So you was asking me a question. I apologize. Can you repeat it?
Yes, you went from 2 to 4 to 10. Now I know when my money grew a little, it made me feel a lot better about going out with my friends and being able to treat folk. But then I got to a point where I didn't even want to bring myself out. I I I convinced myself that anytime I went and I spent money outside, I'd be giving it to somebody else's last name instead of investing it in mine. So I know that's a bit extreme, right? But what are some strategies you employ?
Strategies that I employ. I mean, I've never really lived above my means. In fact, I've always been used to living under my means. I've never had a six-figure salary. So I think what it taught me was really to make what I have always work for me. And again, the biggest I think difference between me and what I see other people maybe teaching or gurus, if you will, is that they're cash flowing. It's so cute. Hi. They're cash flowing two, three, four, $500 per, maybe the whole entire building. I'm doing $1,500 on each building, and I had six. $1,500 in my pocket, right? So that includes anything that would happen with a roof. What's the odds that all six roofs are going to go? So I'm literally saving everything I need, you know, $10,000 a month from $40,000 a year job. There was nothing else really out there for me to buy. What else am I going to buy? I have my primary house that I love. That's
yeah.
probably even too big for me. That's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. I got an empty bedroom that I bypass every single day. So I'm like, I don't need a bigger house, right? This one is already big enough for me. And that's even small to some people. It's 1,500 square foot, 3 bedrooms. My car, right? Is like, what else do I need? I was living a life where I can pick up and go to Africa next month for the whole year if I wanted to. So those were my priorities. My priorities was I just want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I don't have a staff. I never wanted to hire people. I'm probably a bad person if y'all have on here. I be telling people I'm late doing work, right? I'm not waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do nothing. I want to be on the I don't want a bunch of employees. I don't want no staff. If I can't stop what I'm doing tomorrow and take a break from this all and, have my mental health, my mental sanity, that was a big deal for me. So I built real estate around that. So when I tell you I had, have money to do everything that I really kind of need to do, I scaled up. I did it small. I did it over time. I bought my first property in 2011. I don't think I bought my next one till like 20, I don't know, 15, 16, 17, 18, somewhere around there, because I quit my job to travel the world for a year, and I didn't have it back then, and I still had to go back to work, right? So I tell people it's okay to be strategic. It's okay to start small. Most people see 50 units, 100 units. You want to do all of these big things. And I had that goal too up until a little while ago, where I'm like, you know what? Honestly, I don't want these 50-unit buildings because there's more investors in those buildings. I don't want to have to keep worrying about 100 investors' money and them calling me every day about their money. So I decided to scale back. And I'm like, you know what? I like the 10 units. I like the 8 units. I still like being in the field. I like being hands-on for now. These next couple of buildings are going to just set me up fully for retirement when there comes a day where I'm like, you know what? I'm just done.
So it
So
sounds like you participated in a syndication.
I've done a syndication. Yeah, I've done them, but I don't like it. I
Wh-
didn't like it.
were you the general, or did you take lead on it?
No, I was a limited partner, and I was looking at general partnerships, and but that's when I decided I didn't like it. After being a limited partner, I was like, this is just not for me.
Okay.
Yeah. So while you were in Africa and your project was still going, did you hire like a project manager just for that time that you were away, or did you just continue to manage it from
Yeah.
overseas?
So it's funny that you asked that question. I had a project manager right before I left for Africa. And I was working with him for like the month of May. So I closed in the middle of April. I didn't really get started on stuff till
Close the door,
about
babe,
May.
so the bugs don't get in.
And this project manager, the typical things that you hear about, right? He sort of ran off. He didn't really run off of any of my money, but he ran off, he didn't finish the project. His guys didn't finish the project. So this was like literally probably 2 weeks before I was set to leave the country.
Oh my God.
I know, it's still the best thing that could have happened, because God forbid I would have been in Africa having this gentleman who was just kind of doing sloppy work. I'm coming back a whole month later. Now I'm really in the hole. That would have been a much worse issue for me. So he walked off the project, and how I been working anyway is, in the beginning, even when I purchased the property, every single quote that I get like 10 of them, right? Because you're not going to screw me over. And this is real estate. Everybody is out, then they're going to screw you over at some point, right? So I'm always preparing for somebody to screw me over. So I'm like, I really am. Like, I say,
Trust but verify. I love that.
Trust but verify, right? Trust but verify, because it's only a matter of time before somebody screws you over. It just doesn't matter how long you've been in the game, right? Y'all could attest to this. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the game. There's just bad apples out there, and there's a lot more bad apples than there are good ones, right? So as a business owner, my job is to protect myself from that, because I know it's going to happen. To do otherwise would just be silly. So I've already had like 10 contractors lined up. So the minute he walked off the job, the next day I had 2 more crews in here. And so what I decided to do, because initially I had gave this project manager my whole entire project. That was a mistake. I did that against my better judgment. I was speaking to one of my friends, and she was just like, just have one person manage it. It's going to be less headaches, easier. Do it, just knowing that I shouldn't have done it anyway. So the minute he walked off, I had some other crews. And so what I said is, I'm going to give out one of my units instead. And instead of giving somebody that I don't know, have never worked with my whole entire building, to trust them to do right by me, I started to break it down. So I had one crew working on one unit. I had a second crew working on another unit. I didn't really like having 2 different crews, because I know they're going to feel a little weird and they weren't going to be happy about it, but that ain't my issue, right? You want the job, this is what we're going to do. Y'all got to share the little space. Yeah. And I'm about to bring in a third crew, so y'all really about to be pissed off at me.
No, it's very strategic to do it that
That's
way.
smart.
Very strategic.
It is,
Exactly.
because not only are you able to compare the pricing, but the work. You're able to compare the work, and then walk each group through the other's work. And then that way they can also point out for you what was missed, what might have been missed, or like, to have them competing against one another is not a bad idea.
That's boss status right there.
That's what you gotta do. It's your money. Don't nobody care about your money and your project more than you ever will. In fact, they don't give a crap, right? Somebody in their family, something happens, they're off tomorrow. Like, you really gotta protect yourself, and you have to have systems in place, people in place, that if something happened to them tomorrow, that somebody can come right in tomorrow. And then you're not losing money, right? You're not losing time, because these things are expensive. If you're using a hard money lender, this stuff is not free. It's costly, right? And so I just had to learn that a little bit of the hard way. I went against my better judgment, and I'm just not going to ever do that again. I'm going to do it the way that works. So it has been working. I have 4 units. I'm close to completion. I think one crew's a little slow, but now that I'm here, I can be on top of them a little bit more. But I'm doing well on my timeline, doing well on my time frame. I'm still interviewing contractors. I had somebody come through just today. I'm like, hey, I have 5 more units left. I don't know if I'm going to continue to use the same crew. What I do like is that now that I have people that I know, that I can trust, that I've worked with, and I can go out and buy more. And now I have multiple crews as opposed to just one crew.
That's good. That's good. Splitting up the work. It's like, if someone really sucks, you could really just fire them and on to the next one, because you already did that lead work, that homework while you're sitting there. You're calling people. That's so smart. Like, I hope everyone that's watching, you're taking notes. The strategies you guys need to implement to basically purchase your first property, and how to renovate it and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely been helpful. So every time I get a quote, I've gotten window quotes, door quotes, siding quotes. I get like 5 to 10. I'm extreme. I'm really extreme, but it helps in the long run. And I'm also learning a new market, right? So that's super important. This is my first time in the market. I don't know nobody. I I know one person who kind of put me in touch with people, but I don't know nobody. I don't know their work, right? She might know them, but referrals don't always work either. Just because they do a good job for you don't mean they do a good job for me. So I have to develop my own relationships equally and be strong with those.
Yeah. So like, what's your strategy? Do you legit like live in Detroit until the project is over, or do you just continue to drive back and forth from New Jersey? Is that a long drive? That's a few hours,
So
no?
you know what? That's a funny question too. This is my first time that I drove here. I don't drive
What is it,
anything
like
over
10
4 hours.
hours?
It's about 9. I probably could make it in like 8.5 hours. So this is my first time.
Okay.
I flew the last time, but then I ended up paying all this money in a rental car for the whole month, and then I had to pay Airbnb, so that could get pricey. And so I was like, by the time I come back, I need one of these units finished so I can stay in my project. So I'm staying in one of the units now,
Oh,
and
it's
I just decided,
perfect.
yeah, it's perfect. And I just decided I was gonna drive out here just because it's just cheaper for me to have my own car. And I'll if on the shorter terms when I'm out here like for 2 weeks, I'll fly. I do prefer to fly, but it's definitely been very convenient for me just to have my own car.
So how do you
That's
intend on managing a 10 unit building, only one in one? That's going to be a lot more challenging than if you would have had a mixture, right? And considering the fact that you're in Jersey and the building is in Detroit, what's going to be your approach with that?
So I interviewed about 5 property managers already. I think what the thing is, I'm deciding how I want to rent out the building in terms of, for instance, the other day I had one of my potential property manager come, and she mentioned I could have 1 unit, 2 beds for reentry population that would pay about $1,700 a month. So I'm
In
like, ooh,
Detroit?
that's what she said. Yep, that's what she said. So I'm like, oh, $1,700 a month, huh? Oh, I thought you said something. So I'm like, I have 10 of those units. So I've really been leaning towards, especially with the Trump administration and what they're doing with Section 8. I've never really been a short-term Airbnb, Gavin. I've never really been a short-term Airbnb person. I did consider there's one hospital here. So I did consider maybe short-term nursing. And then there's about 5 or 6, a handful, 5 to 7 funeral parlor owners' homes. So I was considering, I actually reached out to the funeral parlor homes to see what their foot traffic is like, to see if it would make sense for me to partner up with them to do some of the rooms as for their
yes.
guests that come into town. So I haven't really gone too far other than emailing them just yet. But I'd like it to be some sort of transitional housing community, domestic violence, abuse victims, anybody that the city needs to house really, really quickly. So I'm leaning towards that. So because I'm kind of back and forth with what I want to do with the building, I haven't zoned in on a property manager just yet. I am interviewing them, just asking a ton of questions, seeing what their capacity is. But yeah, I'm going to have a property manager because once I'm done, close up the building, I'm going back home. And I really shouldn't have to think about this building too much. That's why I like doing my own work at this point. I don't want to take on somebody else's headaches. I'm doing my own work, doing it right from the beginning so I can go home, sleep, buy 10 more, and just kind of be done, honestly.
That's
That's
Other
good.
colleges in the area? Colleges
sorry.
or universities?
Um,
Local colleges?
not too close by me. No, it would make sense. I think there is one, but I think it's a little bit of a distance. I'll have to look into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have choices and options for sure.
You
That's
got
awesome.
to. You
So
definitely have to.
you do. So like with everything that you've done, like how do you define success and has that definition changed over time?
How do I find success? I mean, for me, success is being able to wake up and do what I want to do. If I can't go away for like a year, I don't think I'm successful this year. If I can't go away and leave my projects for a year, Yeah, could I? No, I can't. Right now, I can't. Right, I gotta be here. So I'm not doing yet until I get to a point where all my projects are up and running themselves, and I'm like relaxed. I think that would be success. But at the same time, yeah, no, success. That's an interesting question. I would say at the same time, do I consider myself successful? I think in a way I do, because I'm giving back to my community. Like I would think I was on the phone just an hour yesterday with, I was speaking in Tanzania last month, and one of the girls had connected with me, and she wants to buy a first home, right? There's no charging, there's no fee for her. I just pour into us because I know how hard and difficult it is to find people who are not out to get you, right? People who are just not out to get your money. I don't need anything from her. I have a course, but I don't even sell it because I'm so busy trying to do my own stuff, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's a big deal in our industry, because there's just so many people who, you give them $1, they're going to try to take 1,000 from you for just no reason. And I just believe in pouring into us as much as possible, because it's just always going to come back. I've been able to live a life where I don't have to worry about so much. I don't have anything to worry about. I don't have no heavy bills, right? It's just a lifestyle. And I think so many of us kind of we want that lifestyle, but then we get caught up with all the shimmer and the golds and the things that look super pretty, and then we get in over our heads. So I think for me, I haven't gotten in over my head, which has been super grateful, keeps me super grounded. And I guess just next is just like, I just want to give back so many of us can get to where I've been, where I am. Because there are people like me, they're like, I don't want to go to work, I want to
Yeah.
how do I do it, right? They don't. Nobody wants to go to work. Even if you love your job, at some point, you're going to not want to be there, right? And at some
That's
point,
fair.
you're going to be like, I just want a 2-week vacation, like right now, not next week, not next year, when my vacation time sits in. So and again, that's why I share this story, because I just know that a lot of people can relate.
Yeah, it's
A
so
lot of people
true.
say, they were like, I'm like, I hear all these gurus speaking it, like, you gotta wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, and you gotta work 7 days a week, 8 days a week, 9 days a week. I'm
Yeah.
like,
No.
who's waking up at noon? Okay, because I need to hear the person that's waking up at noon, right? That's still successful, that still can live the life that they desire to live without all these major stresses. The other end of this is that money stresses people out, right? Let's be real. It stresses people out, and when it feels like it's never enough, you keep having to grind, and then you're still in the same position, right? I've never wanted to be in that position. I don't want to have to grind. Y'all saw me. I want to be in Africa for a month, and I don't want nobody calling me about nothing. Like
I hear you.
that to me is success.
I hear you. I hear
Holly vibes.
you. So is the goal to eventually live in Africa? Like, are you going to start investing in Africa?
No, I'm very clear on that. My girlfriend keeps
No.
telling me that's overseas. I'm very clear on that. So here's what it boils down to for me. If it feels like work, I don't want to do it. So I like to go to Africa to relax and hang out and cool. If I got to go there to worry about investment properties and working, it's not going to work for me. I don't like it. Right now, I'm forced to get on a plane when I don't want to. Sometimes I just go at the drop of a dime. I don't want to have to be forced to do nothing. And secondly, like, there's enough for me in my own backyard, right? I have like an 8-figure goal, and there's enough for me to do it here where I don't have to worry about getting on a 14-hour flight. I like to be at my project. I don't have to worry about not overseeing it. So it's too far for me to invest over there, to be honest with you. But
Well,
yeah.
let's not be shy about it. What's the 8-figure goal? How do you plan on getting there? How many units do you have now, and what do you think you need in order to achieve that?
So another 10 million is fine by me. That's it. That's it. Oh, 1 second. I know my phone is ringing. Everything is ringing.
And how many
So yeah,
units
I
or
said another
properties?
10 million. On a lower end, I said if I do just one building a year for the next 8 years, I'll be okay. That's another 10. Just specifically for, like I said, my nesting egg years, I'll be good.
Now,
You know,
let
I
me
used
wait. I don't know
to,
if you answered how many properties or units you have already.
So I've worked up to about 100, but I've since sold some. So yeah, I was at about 100 units. I have a 60 unit that I'm an LP in Mississippi right now. I have my 3 unit and I have my 10 unit. Prior to that, I had about 20 doors, actually 40, because I had a 20 unit in South Jersey as a partnership. And then I have my own 20 units throughout multifamilies. But then COVID had came and I saw that the market was super insane. So I was doubling and tripling and quadrupling my investments. I still kind of I still kind of battle with that decision. I'm like, oh, should I have sold them? But at the same time, it also put me in a big liquidity position where I cashed out probably a little bit over $500,000. So that now the goal is I'm rolling those funds over to bigger things essentially.
Are you employing the 1031 exchange, or are you at the place where you held it long enough you don't have to?
I didn't. Here's what my issue or my challenge was with the 1031 exchange. I didn't want to make a rush decision. And I know some people do 1031 exchange, and I think you have like X amount of time to find something.
3 months to identify and then 3 months to close.
There you go. 3 months to identify and 3 months to close. So that would have given me, I just wasn't in a position where I was able to pull the trigger from deciding when I needed to sell because, hey, what happens if the market turns, takes a downturn, and finding something. So it took me a little while it took me about 2 years. I was actually doing a mentorship program with Michael Blanc, who does syndications. And I was in the syndication mentorship, and I thought that was the route that I was going to go until I decided that I don't love syndication. So it was a couple of different things. Will I do a 1031 exchange now? Yes, I think I'm better prepared. I think I know during this time what it is that I like after kind of going up from the multi-units. And then I'm also working on a development project. So I have 2 pieces. I'm working on a 9-unit single family development project in Montclair, New Jersey, where single families right now are selling for close to $2 million. So that's probably about a $20 million project. So I kind of have 2 arms at this stage in my career. I'll work on my development projects and they'll fund my bigger buildings. And if I do 50 units maybe next, it's not really going to be a syndication. It's probably just going to be taking those funds and rolling them over into something that cash flows, keeping the same strategies that kind of got me off my job. Then that's how I've been able to do what I need to do without going into a ton of debt and going crazy and having to worry about market changes.
Our goals are very similar and approaches as well. One thing I'm having a challenge with right now, I'm wondering if I should sell like a third of my portfolio to pay off the other 2/3. At what point? Because you mentioned hard money lenders a few times, right? And that helps you scale fast. But at what point do you think you're gonna kind of dial it back and try to pay off so you don't have as many bills?
Never. Never. Because I don't have a lot of bills. I don't have a lot of bills. So every property has paid for itself over what I've needed. So my savings, I have, I'm sitting liquid decent. So there's no need for me to do that. And the buildings that I always buy, like I said, having major cash flow. And that's sort of kind of why I regret selling some of them, because I'm like, oh, this is nice. But
so if I'm hearing you correctly, advice you would give to one is hold on, don't sell. Sooner or later, it's gonna make you way more than enough, right?
I'm torn, honestly, on that question. I'm not sure. I'm torn. I think it's a personal decision. Because again, I'm thinking back to some of the ones that I sold, and while I was up over $500,000, it's like, could I have been up more? And I risk not being able to get back into the market at the price point that I purchased it at. So I think, and I sold really for the liquidity.
But then you rolled it into another investment, so you used it to grow.
Yeah, so you did what you needed at the time, so it makes sense.
But here's what I'll say about that. If I had the chance to do it over with the same eyes, I don't know if I would do it. Not to say that I regret my decision, because I bought this with other people's money. I had an investor that paid the down payment. My down payment on this was like $87,000. So I'll pay her from the refi. I had another investor at $50,000 who his funds went to help start the rehab. I'll pay him back from my draw for the hard money, right? And so this lens is like, I bought this building not using my own money, so why did I have to sell those buildings to do this, right? That's in this lens. But again, I don't regret the decision I made. I guess I didn't have the experience back then or the knowledge back then, or maybe I did a little bit. Maybe it was fear. I'm not sure what it was. I'm just not sure what it was. Maybe it was just maneuvering and just trying new things and getting new experiences. But I think with this lens, I probably would have kept them. I would have kept them. I probably would have kept them. So that's a hard question to answer, Gavin. I think that's a personal question.
So
right?
it also sounds like as long as you're making enough, don't worry about the mortgages or the expenses.
Exactly. And again, that goes back to me making $1,500 a month. I'm not talking about $200. I wouldn't buy anything where I'm just cash flowing 200, 300. And no offense to people who do, but that's just not my style. I've already seen how much I could cash flow, because again, it takes care of not only the building, but my lifestyle. And then not only my lifestyle, but the next couple of buildings that I'm buying. So I don't have to, I'm not in positions where I had to rob Peter to pay Paul. And that's what happens when you get into these that's what happens when you get into some of these things and you over leveraging yourself. You're talking about, I gotta pay this person off, I gotta pay that off. That's because it's over leveraging.
200 a month would not be paying for those peanut butter seats that you have behind you.
Exactly. And it's really easy to get behind. It's really easy to be like, I'm scrounging for money. But I just use the same mentality and the same strategies that I did that saved me for $700 a month. That works now when I'm doing $700,000 a month.
So do you think that part of the experience where you invested in yourself led to these individuals just trusting in you? Because now you just pretty much poured gasoline on fire. You're talking about buying an investment property with no money down right now, and people waiting to get their money on the back end instead of saying, hey, you need to put this down. I want to make sure I'm getting paid monthly. How did you get to that point with them?
Oh boy, that's recent too. That's more recent. I've never really raised too many funds, even with my smaller duplexes and tries when I initially started out. They were all just kind of me, because again, I need to just reiterate, the money part, how I'm able to take money from one unit, roll it into the next, because everybody's like, they hear you, but they're like, how do I do it still? I'm like, just take what you have and keep rolling it in, right? If you have $3,000 a month coming in, you just keep saving it, right? So I kind of just get that down to the ground. And I think the trust from individuals at this point is because I have a track record. I have a proven track record that I've done this all by myself, and I've done it successfully, right? Here's my HUD statements. Here's the numbers. Here's what this brings in. And then I share. I'm super transparent on social media, because again, I don't need nobody. And I say that, quote unquote, I'm not looking for anybody to come help me, or I'm not looking for anybody's money, right? So that transparency, people feel at ease when they're investing with me. Hey, here, and then I have like 6 strategies on how to pay them back, because it's a big deal. I don't like taking people's money and not being able to give it back, right? Mm-hmm. So if this strategy doesn't work, here's the second strategy. Here's the third strategy, and I outlined it. I literally outlined it for my last investor. She gave me $75,000. Was it 85? Between 75 or 85, I forget exactly which one it was, without a contract. Like,
what? That's some trust.
That, the feeling that gives you is like so major, right? You don't just trust me, like you believe
in me,
right? And that's a big deal because that is going to keep coming back. I just don't understand how people take people's $75,000, they run off with it. Like, your life is done, right? Karma's going to come get you. I take $75,000, I'm going to pay you back. You're going to keep investing with me. Those people think so small term. We got to think big.
Seriously, once you start really making moves in real estate, you're not even looking at $75,000 the same anymore.
Right, exactly. That too, right? Exactly. So it's just been transparency, it's been trust. I've been building a community on social media. People reach out to me and say, hey, I want to invest this, and then maybe I'll just go look for a building. And I don't take a lot of investors either, so I don't even take, if you're going to throw me your money and I don't have a plan with it, I'm not even going to take it. I need to have a plan with it. If I know that you're looking to invest X amount of dollars, I may just go out and look for another building to buy. Like, let's buy it. So it's really just it came with trust. It came over time. People trusted me. It came with tangible results, right? I just sent out 2 emails yesterday, as a matter of fact, to my investor team, my development team. I probably raised about $600,000-$800,000 for my development projects and then for my apartment building. So I give them updates. I'm just super transparent. Things go wrong, right? Tell them about the things that are going wrong. This is not a rosy market. This is not a rosy profession at all. Like, if you're just painting everything is going to go great and I'm going to give you all these big returns in 2 months, like, that's a lie. So I really try to, I just try my best to be human and honest and tell them what's going on. And if I run into issues. And so for my development project, we were supposed to start developing because I have to return people's money by the end of December. It's June, July. I know that I'm not going to be able to return your money right now at this moment. So I'm telling them, hey, we're going to have discussions by 2020, the end of December, to see where we are and what we can work out, or if you want to stay in the deal until, we get our project approved and move forward. Otherwise, my team and I are working on trying to buy some of y'all out right now. We have 5-6 months, right? So I already knew that. There's no reason for me to wait to December and be like, hey guys, guess what? I don't have your money. No, we got to figure it out right now. And hey, here's what the issues are. Here's what I'm trying to do to rectify it, to make sure that we can still keep our promise and our word.
So what I hear is you're confronting and having the hard conversations the minute you catch wind that you're like, oh man, this is not going the way I'm thinking. So I'm gonna just put it out there and be transparent at all, instead of like, let me try to figure this out like a month and then tell them.
So I kind of knew since maybe like May. So in all honesty, it's been like 2 months, and I wasn't necessarily trying to hide it from them. I think I was just trying to figure out what our process looked like. We just kind of had to go through a process, and it just really wasn't about their money. We had fell out of contract with one of the land sellers. We needed to find $1.4 million to close on this land seller. So it was like sort of cumulative, and I just didn't want to say, hey, we don't have your money, when I had other outstanding issues that they should also be updated on, that I knew I would have solutions for those. I'm like, let me get these solutions. And then I sent out an email and let them know, hey, honestly, at this point, we should have had approved plans, but we don't. And here's where we are. And I already know, December might be a stretch. So we're attempting to do things now and have those conversations. So with that in mind, I equally also try to come with the solutions for other issues pertaining to things that are going up. But as soon as it was just kind of a perfect timing for me to be able to communicate that, because we also had those solutions. Yeah. You don't always want to spill the bad, because they don't care, right? They're not looking for you to be like, oh, we don't have your money. But it's like, you don't have my money, when you gonna have it? What's the solution? That you need to be solution oriented, not just we don't have your money and that's it. You
gotta be proactive. I hear you.
Yeah, exactly. Way proactive, because I don't play when it comes to people's money.
You ladies mentioned, I didn't mean to cut you off, my apologies. You ladies mentioned a course or something that you put together for people as well.
I did. Like I said, I don't promote it because I'm so busy doing my own stuff. I have an e-course that I created. So the e-course is it's online, so anybody can purchase that. But I haven't really promoted it. It is natayhayes.com. So my name, Natay, NATAYHAYES.com. Once I started to promote it, I've realized that it was probably a better course with me, as opposed to giving a course to somebody and letting them go out and do it by themselves. But that just kind of goes back to the time, right? I'm like, do I really want to be?
So it's something that could be supplemental with a mentor group.
Exactly. And I didn't create that. I
Yeah.
didn't create that.
Not yet. It's probably just a
Not
matter of
yet.
you finding the time to dedicate.
I don't know, Gavin. I gotta be honest with you. I don't know. I don't know. I might want to be to Africa
Yeah, I
tomorrow. I
hear
can't
you. I
make
hear
that
you.
promise.
Yeah.
That's a huge continent to cover, many countries to visit.
And then I'm not gonna want to have no calls. I'm gonna be on the beach. I don't know. I
I
have a
guess
hard
I
life
think
over here. I,
Monthly electronic check-ins.
I don't even want to do that. That might sound to be too much. I know. I know. I just
It
need a
sounds
clone
like
at
you
this.
need an assistant, Miss Hayes.
That
yeah.
sounds like work, Gavin. And if it sounds like work, I don't want to do it.
Oh my God. Well, at least you
Levels.
put
We
out
are
the
striving.
e-course, and it gives people a stepping stone if they want to learn more about real estate. They could
Yes,
definitely
for
check it
sure.
out to get their footing and just to understand maybe your strategies or your thought process and how you
Yeah.
went through
Mhm.
it.
And people will reach out to me. I do have a mentor student right now. So I'll do like one-on-one mentorships when they reach out to me. Because again, like I'm at my project like all the time. At 7 a.m. they woke me up. I'm be off to here with y'all. I got an appointment at 12:30. I'm probably not gonna be done till like 8, 9 o'clock. So when I say like my schedule, especially just when I'm doing projects, is really unpredictable, it would be so unfair for me to just probably put more on my schedule. And I just don't like stress, unnecessary stress. So I know sometimes being committed is a little bit of a big deal, especially when it comes to other people because they're relying on me to show up. And sometimes I just want to take naps. So I really got to be honest. And I'm honest with people where my life is, right? I'm just not going to get on here and fluff for nobody and nothing for no reason.
You
No,
shouldn't.
I hear you. Like
And,
sounds
and
like
that's
you really worked hard to design the life that you desire
Exactly.
and like your dream life, and you set it up so that you can do the things that you appreciate and like doing generally.
Exactly.
Like that's
Genuinely,
beautiful.
exactly. So
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
with that said, if anybody does do the e-course and they do want mentorship, I do one-on-ones. I just know my knowledge is super imperative. And I know it's hard to, this is not stuff that you Google, right? This is not stuff that you put together from YouTube. You got to be out here in the trenches. So when I mentor, I show people what I'm doing. I take them on, I give them homework assignments, I show them the numbers, everything that I'm doing, they are immersed in so that they can learn. I'm also a full-time licensed real estate agent. I don't really use my license so much, but I've trained probably about 5 or 6 agents. Now they're multi-million-dollar sales agents because they know. Like my goal, when people come to me, my goal is not for you to stay with me forever. It's, hey, here's the information. You got it. Now you get it and you're good. They don't need me for anything. And that's perfect teaching, right? When they don't need me for anything. I'm like, oh, I've
Yeah,
done
you're
a
teaching
great
them how to fish.
Exactly. So that is how I mentor. And I do have one student that I'm taking on right now as a mentorship student. So I love it.
So, what impact do you hope to leave behind?
Just showing people what's possible. Um, I've already mentioned that I love to travel, and I actually had an opportunity to do 2 trips. One, I took my sister to South Africa for her 30th birthday, and it was a surprise. And I spent, I bought half the villa. Or I rented out half of the villa so that her friends and family, so money wasn't an option, so everybody can come. Last year, I took my 21-year-old cousins on a backpacking trip for 2 weeks to South Africa and Namibia. So, it's not many people that have cousins that could be like, hey, I want to go away for 2 weeks to this country. Can you take me? Can you give me this experience? Right. Even with my houses, I'm leaving them. I don't have children. I'm leaving them to my sister. My sister, if something happens to me, she inherits $1 million home. I have my little cousins, they're 21 on my life insurance policies where they get $50,000, right? So these are the things that like we strive for and we need in our communities. And it's cliche sounding, but it's so impactful and it has such a huge deal on the people that come after us, right? And this is what we kind of strive for. Even with my little cousin, like the money is one thing, but the education is worth more than the money. So my cousin who's now 21, she'll come work with me in the fields. Everywhere I'm at, she'd probably just text me, hey, cousin, I want to come out to Detroit. I want to come see your building. I've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad with her since she was 16. And these are things that I share because other families can do the same thing. You don't have to know a lot about money. You just have to start to create a small budget, right? We just have to do well with our money, with what we have. You don't have to have millions of dollars. You don't have to have all these big ideas that may feel like you can't achieve them, right? So every time I speak, I always start from a small place, because if you haven't even gotten your first, most people aren't thinking about $1,000 1,000 building unit, right? So it's okay to start small and just kind of get your feet wet and dip your feet into the waters. But for my cousin, right, when I'm leaving her $50,000, if something happens to me, that money could be gone. So I find that I need to teach her about the money. So now every other day she's texting me about how much she saved in her savings account. She's texting me her credit score. She's 21. She has a 722 credit score. So it's things like that that's super important. I'm just not going to leave behind money without leaving behind the knowledge. Even with my sister, there's a life insurance policy that God forbid something happens to me. Now the house is paid off. Now the taxes are paid off. So we're not burdening our people with our things that we've done, right? So we gotta kind of think long term, because we're just so far behind the 8 ball to begin with, right? And then it's not easy when we're trying to get out of it, because we don't have friends and family that we can pull from to be like, I need to get out of this situation that I'm in, right? So my legacy that I want to try to leave behind is here's what's possible, right? Here's what I've built. Here's why I've built it, right? And here's what I want you to do. Or maybe not even what I want you to do. Here's the steps that I've laid out that may help make life easier for you, so you don't have to struggle like the rest of us had to struggle. I don't want to get it out the mud no more. I'm like, Dad, I'm 42. Like, you should still be paying for me, right? I still need some more money over here. I'm still struggling sometimes. Like, what the hell? I didn't ask to, right? We didn't ask to be here, but yet we gotta be here and figure this crap out. I don't want to keep figuring it out no more. I'm done. I'm done figuring it out. I'm ready to hit the lottery. I think I figured it out enough.
I feel you.
So yeah, it's just those things. I don't want to ever be a burden. I also have in my life insurance my will that my home, right, I've lived there for 14 years for free. If when I move out, I'd be making like $3,000 a month cash flow. So my will is, if anybody's going to college and they need a place to live, they can live in the house for free. If anybody's starting a business and they need a place to live, they can live in the house for free. The cash flow from the project, if anybody is, if anybody needs extra funds, they can dip into the cash flow from my projects for purposeful living. Traveling is also in my will for one of them. So that's the legacy that I want to leave behind, Ray. I just want to kind of give us somewhat of a head start that I didn't necessarily have, to make life somewhat easier for some of us that it hasn't been so easy for.
That is so powerful. And I feel like you're right. Like, more of our families need to do that, and not just for our own kids, for our cousins. Being able to take your whole family to Africa, like, that's boss status right there. That is awesome. I hope y'all taking notes, because she just dropped so many gems. I know we are coming to it's already 12, so it's time for us to wrap up, unfortunately. So I guess quickly, what advice would you give to someone who is struggling to take the first step to investing in their real estate or whatever their passion is?
One thing that helped me when I was starting out is listening to podcasts, because it just kind of gave me an idea of maybe where I kind of wanted to get started. There's so much in real estate that you can do, right? Fixing and flipping, wholesaling, Airbnb, tax liens, taxis. I mean, you name it, the list kind of goes on and on. So for me, it was just kind of listening to conversations, seeing what people had to offer. And I've probably listened to Bigger Pockets every single day at work. I'm on my lunch break. I'm in the middle of work. That's probably why they was firing me. They're like, this girl doesn't do no work. She just listen to Bigger Pockets and search for flights all day long. It really helped. And again, you don't really need to know everything. I wasn't looking to know everything. I was looking to find an outlet for, hey, where is somewhere that I think I want to start? What do I think I want to do, right? Because you're going to be working on real estate all day long. I said I was up at 7, I'll probably be in the bed at 8. You have to love this. I don't think I care what anybody say. If you don't love it, you're not going to do well with it. And that's why I backed away from the syndications. I was waking up, spending 2 hours underwriting. I'm like, this isn't fun to me. And I didn't like it. I'm not going to say, why are you doing stuff that you don't like? So I had to let it go, right? So, and I know myself with Airbnb. I don't want to do short-term rentals for the most part because I don't really like reviews. I don't want to have to worry about somebody leaving me a bad review. Now my name is out there. So if I'm going to do a short-term rental, then I need to have somebody manage that for me, right? So it's about kind of knowing your strengths and things that you like and kind of enjoy and matching that from, hey, maybe I like wholesaling, right? Maybe I can do this part of real estate. So that was really helpful for me. And that's when I knew that, hey, let me just try being a landlord for some of these small buildings. I like living for free. It worked for the first time. Let me just try it again. And I kept trying things. And then, that's kind of when I graduated recently graduated into syndications, and I tried it. I spent a lot of money on the course, but I didn't like it. So sometimes you also just got to try things to see if you liked it.
That's so true.
Then it's okay to start small. You don't have to chew off more than it's not necessary for you to chew off more than you can bite. It's real estate is over time, not overnight. So there's no rush. There's no rush with any of this, is what I would say.
That is so good. Thank you so much for your time today. Like, you dropped so many gems and you really didn't have to, but you did. And for that, we appreciate you wholeheartedly, 1000%. For everyone watching, I hope you watch it again and take notes. Like, there's so much strategies that she implemented, that she gave out for free. And you guys have access to all of this. So definitely make sure you check out her page, look at her course. Like, just take the first step and just know that you just have to believe in yourself in order for have other people to look at you and want to learn from you. So just take the first step and get started. And thank you so much for watching.
Yay, amazing.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.